Earning more money won't stop you from being broke. It's not about your salary, it's not about inflation, or is it because you are not working hard enough? No. It is just actually because of a set of subconscious paradigm, a habit that is, acting as a glass ceiling on your bank account. In the past few weeks, I've been spending some time studying the behavioral psychology of a well-renowned author, Bob Proctor, where I read his book, Change Your Paradigm, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things because I really wanted to understand why high earners remain stuck, even while earning higher than some people that are doing much better than them. In today's video, I'll be pulling back the curtain on some of the habits you must break if you ever want to see the value of your paycheck. I want to share with you some of the reasons why we remain broke even when we are earning more. To understand this better, the first thing we are going to be talking about is something called the Parkinson's Law of Finance, which basically says that the more you earn, the more your expenses is going to rise to match up with whatever you are earning. So imagine this, you were promoted at work. Before you were earning 100k, now you are earning 150k. All of a sudden, you go to the supermarket, things that you did not used to see before, you started seeing them. Not that you were not seeing them when you were earning 100k. You were never really interested because you knew that your finances could not be able to, take care of those things. But now you're earning 150k, all of a sudden you are deciding that, okay, this thing, I can now buy it, and you now buy it. So because you already have the money, you don't see the need to question the fact that, do you really need this item, or is this something that you're just buying because you feel like you can afford it now? You will just find that if you don't look for ways to hide your money, your brain will keep convincing you that you need these things, whereas on a normal day, you don't need them, but your expenses is just trying to catch up with whatever you're earning. The only way you can solve this problem that is not even under your control is by automating your savings or automating your emergency fund, automating your investments. That way you don't have any choice. And one thing I've always talked about is the fact that before any increment, before my salary even comes, I already have a budget waiting for that salary. Because you know that saying, if you don't plan for money, money will plan for you. That is essentially what it is. So if you have a budget written down, you are more likely to follow through with it rather than spending the money on a whim, because you obviously just got an increment in salary, so you just start creating need for yourself. But then if you have a plan, you are more likely to stick to it and get the main things done. Nobody's saying you should not take care of the things you want, because obviously you got an increment in salary, so you would want more things, but with a plan in hand, you are more likely to spend it wisely. Interestingly, when you find yourself increasing your expenses because your income increased, you find that you fall into the second category of people who are doing wealth signaling rather than wealth building. And trust me, this is something that always happens, sometimes even unknowingly, because you were promoted, which now led to an increase in your finances. You now find that your brain, your body and everything is convincing you that you have to look that part. So you are basically, gauging yourself up to wealth signal. When I was promoted at work, especially, in my workplace, people don't really take seriously what they wear to work. So even when there are still some people that take seriously what they wear to work, but on the general note, as long as you look decent and you look professional, nobody's going to ask you any question, right? But immediately we write these exams that will lead to promotion, you find that there is a huge upstep, like there's a huge change in the air, in the environment, because all of a sudden people now bring into offices gadgets. You now see like new clothes, everybody shining. You ask like, whoa, is it that you did not have the thoughts to buy these things before? But you won't really blame them, but it's just because their finances increased, so they found the means to buy those things that they've been wanting to buy, so they now decided to buy them. So you have to be careful here. Because you want to wealth signal, it does not mean that you cannot wealth build at the same time, because at the end of the day, it is just that you are rich but you are not wealthy. Because at the end of the day, being rich is what people see, but building wealth is what people don't see. If you don't use systemic allocation for your salary or whatever income increase you have, you find that you keep remaining broke even when you are earning more, because you not having a system around your money is something that can really set you back a whole lot. You know how I've talked about so many methods on how I manage my salary here. One thing that is not always talked about is being consistent with these systems is the only way you are going to build wealth over time. You just deciding that, okay, I'm going to spend my salary so way does not always work. So you find that you are always saving what is left after you have spent every other thing. A lack of systemized allocation is the reason why you remain broke if you don't, take into account the need for a system for your money before it even comes. I've always talked about this thing. I've shared with you how I split my salary just so that I am not, at the mercy of my money. And especially when you find yourself always saving what is left after you have spent every other thing, it is you lacking a systemized method to handle your money. In any effective system, the best way to manage your money is to, first of all, take out your savings, money for your investments. If you even end up using the 50-30-20 rule, you don't have to bother about this, because every other thing, every important thing is taken care of in that rule. But then when you now find that most people tend to spend their money based on how they are feeling, how they think they should spend it, because they think, okay, they've taken care of the main things, now whatever is left is something that they can save, you will never get value from that your new paycheck that you currently have, because you are basically lacking a systemized way to manage your money. But if you have a laid down plan of how you're going to spend this money, which you should consistently use, you'll find that you are going to be able to build something out of that your salary. Because trust me, now I've talked about how I have been writing down whatever I spend my salary on from 2021 down to this point, and I will continue to do so because I've seen how it has helped me to be very consistent in saying that okay, this particular amount is my savings, this is my investment, this is for me, this is for the needs. That is the only way you are going to be able to get something out of this your new paycheck, because if not, you are going to still continue to live paycheck to paycheck. Have you noticed that immediately there is an increase in your salary, you feel this need to inflate your necessities? The money you're spending on your basic necessities, you feel the need to increase it because you need to now buy more things, or you want this money to be able to accommodate more things. It is mostly the brain convincing you that you need better quality of these items than the ones you used to use before. At every point, we all have found ourselves there, or even somebody might be falling into that trap right now. If you don't want to be that person, the only solution to this is every time you have an increase in salary, or maybe you have a new source of income, you have to reevaluate what you consider as your needs, because that's the only way you are going to be able to say, okay, this thing I really need it, this thing I don't really need it. So it should help you get clear on what you're spending your money on and what you should not be spending your money on. So there you have it. These are some of the reasons why you might remain poor even when you are earning more. The problem is not really the money you're earning or the increase in your salary. It is because of the lack of management structure around this your money. That is why you might remain broke. I think the major thing that should fear you is that if you don't end up changing, you will remain the person that has never had enough money even when they are earning the most. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and because you love this one, I know you will definitely love this video right here, so go and check it out because it will definitely help you in your journey to building financial freedom. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye.